Welcome to Bottle Rocket.
Yo. Check. 1, 2. Hey. What's up, y'all? Hope y'all can hear me real good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of this damn stupid podcast. Just kidding, it's not stupid. It's like my favorite thing that I get to do right now. What an honor. It's so not stupid. What a fucking dumb thing to say. Damn it. Guys, I'm in the van right now. We're just cooling it, man. All the boys are in here, dude. Telling jokes and hanging out. Staying hydrated. It's very surreal to be working on this podcast. While we are on tour, this has always been sort of like a dream setup, to be traveling, playing this music, and also be working on other like passion projects of mine. So to be here literally right now doing this on the little mattress we have in the back of this van, it's really cool. You guys can probably hear everybody talking up front about gear, which is when I usually end up back here not having anything to contribute to those things. Also, I get pretty sleepy. So oh my gosh, one of the boxes just fell down on me. And no one cares. No one cares that this box just fell on me. Thanks, man. Thanks. Cool merch, though. Here's Devin. You can say what's up to Devin.
Hello, my name is Devin. I just helped Briston move a box.
Whoa. Okay, and now you get 10% publishing, bro. If only I knew what that meant. Guys, today's episode is arguably my favorite of the season. No shame to the other episodes. This one was just a bucket list conversation. And definitely running for one of the best conversations of my life on a human scale. Today we interviewed Andy Hull of Manchester Orchestra. I got to meet Andy nearly 2 years ago now, and wrote the track Bottle Rocket off of Sunflower with Andy. And the intro for this podcast is actually the recording of the demo that we cut with Andy. And I thought that'd be a cool little addition to like make this feel unique and special. But anyway, yeah, Andy and I met a couple years ago, and immediately had a connection based on a lot of similarities in our life and our career experiences, but just on a really kind of human and spiritual level. He immediately felt like family to me, and has, from a distance and anytime we've gotten to talk, been a mentor figure and a friend and a really, really special dude to me. So to get to have this conversation was really fucking cool. We talk about it a lot in the podcast, that it felt weird to be having that conversation into microphones, because it just felt really personal and very intimate. And there's definitely a point that I was like teary-eyed and very moved by everything that he was talking about. I would encourage you to listen very closely to this episode, because there are some things that Andy says that I feel like solve a lot of problems that like we ask our entire lives, and he's like just spilling like infinite wisdom very calmly and humbly, and in between some real quick witty little jokes, a vape hit at one point, laughter, crying, intense crying, laying down on the ground and screaming, "Why is this happening?" Just kidding, there's none of that. But he is one of the smartest dudes I know, and also a great fucking person. So that being said, hope you guys enjoy it. Was fired up. This is Andy Hull. Hope you'll have a good time. Peace. I haven't had to really.
Oh, I have
edit
Crazy
much.
Buzz.
Oh, do you really? Oh, you're in this guy. How about no?
Oh, my headphones are.
Oh, you're not plugged into this.
Oh.
I think I'm the only one with headphones on right now.
Oh, I
Do you
don't.
want headphones? I would just have them on to test to make sure it works.
Oh, I don't care.
Do you want them? It's okay. It feels good with you and me just sitting like
Okay,
this,
that's fine. Good.
both holding our microphones. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Briston. What a beginning.
Truly, this is the entire vibe of everything that we've done with this podcast.
What
man.
number
It's
guest
been-
am I?
You are literally 4.
Wow. All right, I'll take it.
So you're gonna see some serious learning happening in front of you.
How is
unfolding.
for real? Like, how has it been doing? We started a podcast on our Patreon.
That's what Rob was saying. Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's it took us a minute, and I still don't think we're very good at it. It's awkward.
It's
but
really strange. Well, especially to like go from. I'm gonna turn you up just a tiny
Okay, cool.
bit. Okay, yeah. Well, it's really strange because the context. I'm interviewing people typically that are like friends, so it's really weird. Like, there's the pressure to like not do the podcasty thing. You know what I mean? Like to enter, but it's also hard sometimes to have a completely like unfiltered conversation while you're literally holding a microphone.
it's very hard to do it.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is.
is it just? Have you guys been interviewing people, or is it just the two of you guys?
No, it depends. So it's been like me, Rob, and Tim, and then
Oh,
Andy
right.
Prince will come in.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it about a record 10 years ago that some songs like Prince
That's
and Andy Prince and Tim didn't play on.
Oh no.
So they're just sort of like,
Just
yeah,
for like
I
2
don't,
hours.
no
Just
one
like
cares about this one.
just chewing on toothpicks the whole time.
It feels good now with this our new record coming soon. Now we're actually
You're allowed to talk
everyone's
about it too, right?
invigorated. Yes,
Yeah.
we've basically just been
That's
hiding
awesome.
it for a
So-
long time.
Have you guys been breaking down some of that stuff?
We did. We broke down the first single on the last one, and I think we're gonna kind of keep going through the record as the months go on to see how much people care about listening to us talk about it.
I think they'll be very excited. Yeah.
So for I'm gonna. It's hard because I'm just gonna turn it into the
You're
podcast.
like, so where are
too.
you
I forgot-
from?
Yeah.
You can do that. Honestly, that's like a relief to me. So feel free to say anything that
I'm
comes
just
to
really
mind.
impressed because it takes us a lot more equipment to try and pull off the podcast.
Dude.
It feels like you've really pulled it off here.
I'm amazed that I found this little setup. It's like the bare minimum of what you need to do it, but I get such a rush from rolling up with my little baggie full of my stuff.
I mean, you hold the bag with pride.
yeah.
Yeah.
You saw how my posture changed when I had
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Your whole attitude changes when
I
you're
was-
holding that bag.
We've been working on some stuff today, and I've been, you can say it, I've been an asshole all day until I walked
It's
in
been
here.
really bad.
I was
people.
kind of a dick before I got my little
anytime he's
baggie
holding
out.
the bag, you can't listen to any ideas.
No.
What can I ask? Who else I know you did
Mhm.
Congleton.
At this point, we've done Congleton. We did, yesterday I did my buddy Hudson, who shot the album cover.
Oh, awesome.
Who's like, but dude, we talked for like 2 hours and said nothing. It was fantastic. Just complete
I love
bullshit.
the album cover.
Thank you. Dude,
Where did
he
you
will
shoot it?
love to know that. We shot that at his grandpa's farm.
Awesome.
So part of the episode yesterday was him saying, "Oh wait, my grandpa actually is here right now. Hey, Papa." And then I was like, "Well, that's just not true." And then he did his Papa's voice for like 30 minutes straight. It was fucking ridiculous. So every episode has been like just vastly different, like, which is exactly what I wanted to accomplish with this shit. Because like,
That's awesome.
I don't know, man. The point of this record was just like, or the point of the podcast is to explain how this record would not have happened without the sheer, like, difference in personality between literally every person that worked on the record.
Oh,
Like,
that's
even
fascinating.
yeah, dude. I mean, that's why, that's why I have like pretty minimal structure. Is like because everybody has kind of come in and wanted to do a different thing, and so like I'm stoked that we get to talk post or literally in the middle of like making music together. Because
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Our first experience meeting each other was to cut Bottle Rocket.
Well, so I remember when I heard about you and
Really?
heard of you for the first time.
Where
Yeah,
were you?
I was in New York, and the big city, the Big Apples.
That's
what
like
I
one
like
of
to
the
call it.
biggest cities.
Trust me, if you go to New York, you made it. We were working on
Steve's
press.
just sitting there, just going like, mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Well, I'm interviewing Steve, by the way.
Oh, you are good.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah, we should talk about that connection of all that stuff too.
totally.
So basically, the guy that your A&R guy, the main man at Canvasback. And how old were you when you signed to Canvasback?
I was 20.
which I think you were also like 19.
I was 20. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
19 or 20, something
Mhm.
like that. Yeah. So met Steve and made a couple records with him, and he's one of my favorite people. And so anytime that he works with someone after, and the reason we stopped working together was like a totally corporate situation,
Sure.
not I didn't want to make records with him.
Yeah.
And he's sort of in a really sweet, for me over the last 10 years, a sweet kind of secret A&R brain for me, to send
Yeah.
stuff to and go like, I know we're not working together, but
Yeah.
Am
He just loves art. So
He
he's
does,
like
yeah.
always got an opinion, which
Yeah.
is a really great thing and a creative friend.
and he was a really helpful mentor for us, as like that. And I look at it now, so many years later, how sort of insane it all was, and still is insane, but how at that time it was helpful to have a sort of a father figure in the
Oh,
music
yeah.
industry
I felt the exact same way.
to rub
Yeah.
your back and
Literally.
give you a kiss on the lips.
No,
How
no,
many
no,
times did he
he-
kiss you on the lips?
One time on the lips in
Was
New
it
York
your first
City.
meeting? Because it was my first meeting.
No, in my first meeting though, he gave me one of the longest hugs of my life, and I got in the car and realized I was crying. I'm just kidding.
For the wrong reason.
Yeah, he hugged me super hard. The first time we hung out, we went to dinner. He came to Nashville to see like a house show that we played.
Yeah, it's very similar. The first time he ever saw us play
Well-
was at a pizza place in Nashville.
That's fucking amazing. In Nashville?
Yeah, for like 9 people.
What the fuck? Yeah, this was a house show where he stood on a couch in the back and watched us play, and then left immediately after our set to go watch, I want to say, the World Series.
That
in
makes
his hotel
sense.
room. Yeah,
You've
big
been to a
guy.
baseball game with him before?
Never, but I
Been to a
have.
couple games with him.
Literally, I don't think that I can get a good night's sleep until I do.
Yeah, he
honestly.
would take me like on tour. He would fly out to
Mhm.
shows that I thought was really sweet that he was coming out to the shows, but he would
Oh,
only pick
man.
the places that were close to baseball
Going to see his
stadiums so that
Yankees
we
play.
could go,
Yeah.
go watch like the Orioles play
Yeah, exactly.
a half mile from the venue.
That's amazing. Yeah, he. That first time we met, though, what's so funny is like, I sat down and I think I had mentioned to him I was a Manchester fan, so he, like, we're sitting there eating pizza, and he's like, man, I've worked with a lot of young guys who are, strong songwriters and just like being so sweet. And he's like, I work with this guy Andy Hull, and like, of course, he saw me like perk up a little bit, and he did the
Mhm.
whole thing where he was like, you'll meet him someday. We'll get you two in a room. And I was like, okay,
That's so funny because he did the same thing to me with people like Jim James and Julian Casablancas. And,
Oh, my God.
I haven't met a single one of those motherfuckers. So,
I guess I got the lucky end of this deal.
but I was in New York and we were doing press for our third Bad Books record, and we were sitting in our manager Brad's office, and he said, "Man, this guy's really good. Listen to a couple songs, and Steve wants to know if y'all would be interested in getting together." Heard, I think, like a half of one song, and me and
Yeah.
Rob were like, "Oh, absolutely! This
Oh,
is
that's awesome,
This
man.
is something we're into." And you never know when you're working with somebody ever how it's going to go and what the vibe's going to be like. But I will say we just like immediately clicked
Yeah.
in a really
I would 100% agree.
something about our process too is we don't really leave any time for like small talk really at the beginning. Like even I hadn't seen you in like a year and a
No,
half.
literally. I can't tell you the first thing I called like my girlfriend when I got in the car and was leaving yesterday, and I was like, because we're both constantly like in sessions these days, and can you actually get the sound of that in the mic?
Sure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll sample that, and we'll leave it up for the listener to decide what that sound was.
Promise it wasn't whatever you think it was.
It might have been though. But yeah, we both.
It's 3 a.m.
Yeah. We both like are these days. It's awesome that we're getting to write with a lot of people, but we both consistently like get to the end of the day, and if we're not in the same town, we'll call each other and be like, "God, I'm so fucking tired."
Mhm.
Like that just took it out of me. Like I just, you have to be like on the whole time when you're around somebody that you're working with, especially if you're maybe not connecting with them on a totally personal level. But I got in the car yesterday, and I know you were saying a similar thing. Like I was like, man, it feels so good to only be physically exhausted. Like
Right.
mentally, like I was so pumped. And
yeah,
like,
on fire.
yeah, like we were in such a good place at the end of the day, which is so rare. Like even if you've had a good day, it's hard not to crash. So
Well, it's like what we were talking about. It's like the dream, really.
Right.
Other than the awesome thing of playing shows and people like in your band and fans and that insane reality of that
Yeah.
ever happening
sure.
is wild. But really the thing that I'm happiest doing is like being with people that I love and then consistently creating. Like what I think I said it to you, or maybe I was saying it to Rob, but it's like the whole key is like work really focused, work really hard, and also relax the entire time that you're doing it.
Yeah,
and
dude.
like enjoy yourself.
You just get away with having a really good time when
That's
you
it.
do that. Like, yeah, you that was basically what you said when you texted me after yesterday. Like, yeah, dude, the secret is to do it without even really thinking about it. And like, if you come in with the intention, like you said, of just enjoying the people around you, like you're gonna end up ending a day just in such a better place than if you come in and try to squeeze anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a it's a difficult line to walk, because if it's just fun and you aren't focused, then the ideas suffer, and you're just sort of you know, you can become complacent, and it just becomes more of like a hang thing. And then if you're too focused and not having any fun, then it becomes unbearable and claustrophobic. And I think for us too, working with people we've never met before, it's like, I remember you coming, we probably talked for like half an hour, and it's like, all right, well, let's work on this song, and immediately start tracking it.
Yeah, which was, for me, I was saying this to Tim yesterday, like socially writing with people I don't know can be really hard, and
it's
like
terrifying.
it's such a relief. Yeah, it's so scary, man. It's such a relief when you can get in, and like I was just like, I haven't seen anybody lately, so to come in yesterday, I was so relieved to like see you, give you a hug. I think you literally said welcome home.
Yeah,
and
I did.
Then and then like walk in the room, say what's up to Rob, say what's up to Tim, and then immediately you were like, yeah, so I'm thinking, and then just like,
Here's the
boom.
tune. What do you
And that
think?
immediately made me be like, I'm on the same page about really caring about what we're doing right now. And so that makes it so much easier from then to like accomplish that task, and then be able, like you said, to just have a good time in the midst of that. Like everyone caring as much, because I maybe just from what I know of your like musical life, like I am scared sometimes of being the person that cares too much in the room about what we're doing musically. So it's like such a relief to meet someone and work with someone who is on that same page, that's like here for the music as part of like their life, like, which is really
absolutely
fucking cool. Yeah.
Well, because it brings value, like I have more fun and find way more redemptive qualities from creating stuff like the first song we did that had no idea if that song was ever going to make your record, or if there was anything that was going to happen, but just like that feeling of creativity and then connecting with somebody, and you know, discovering that you were not just, you know, an immense talent recorded and in a studio that I had heard, but watching you work and us working on lyrics and melodies, and hearing you, like you just did, finish like some unbelievable vocal takes.
Thanks, man.
You know, we work with all sorts of different artists, and sometimes incredible artists everyone has a different way of doing it, and how you record vocals and how you perform, and everyone needs to feel vulnerable and like okay with being vulnerable.
Yeah,
you know, and
safe,
that's an safe thing to feel good about. But you know, when you come across somebody like you and like Brother Bird we were talking about earlier, it's just such a joy when people they kick ass immediately. So it's like, oh, well, this isn't gonna like be a struggle to, you know, for this dude to just belt his ass off on this song. And it's been cool watching your journey too, and how people are reacting to your music, and it makes sense to me, man. So like I'm totally honored to be a small part of the record, you know?
Dude, you're a bigger part than, you know, in a lot of ways, truly. I really appreciate all of that. That's like, I'm secretly freaking out that I have this recorded that I can listen back to when I'm like curled up in a
your
ball.
ringtone. You're gonna be okay, Bristy.
My phone goes off and it's like, yeah, man, you're a badass vocalist. It's just like the douchiest thing in the world.
Well, you do have like an amazing, I mean, even at my youthful age, I hadn't figured out my voice nearly as much as you have figured out your voice so far. And so what's so exciting is like, you know, I'm just going to brag on you for a minute, but you're still so actively learning and growing. So like you're,
Yeah,
know,
dude.
as we hopefully all are,
Yes,
you know,
all the time.
but just the amount of reps, it's like you're still getting your 10,000 hours, and the fact that you're so, you know, I tell you a lot how I just really love your instincts on production stuff too, and ideas of how dynamics and songs should be. And that was something I recognized immediately about you when we worked on that
Thanks,
first
man.
song
Thank you.
on Bottle Rocket. And that was the really great part of bringing us. We had no plans
No.
for the song we're working on now.
0.
But almost bringing you in as like, yo, let's co-write the song together. And also, how can you make it better? And
Sure.
how can we make something together?
Which, like, dude, this experience has made me really love that position. Like, it was so fucking cool to come in yesterday to, like, a lot of this, like, kind of this song pieced together in your notes and voice memos already, but then to get to come in and be, like, on just, like, a really, like, almost, like, primal level, be like, what stands out to me about this? And, like, maybe what can we, like, where can we take some of these things to, like, thread them all together? And, like, that opportunity to do that was, like, really made me learn a lot about what I dug about songwriting. And
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, dude, this has been so much fucking fun, man. And like, it killed me. Like, a huge moment today was when we were tracking some of that stuff like an hour ago, and you were making a joke about the length of the song, and I was like, dude, this is the first time I haven't thought about the length of a song because everything is felt right and necessary. Like, it's so long.
Totally.
And like, I feel fucking spoiled now. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
I
yeah.
wish it could be like that all the time.
Me
That's
too.
Really,
I mean, me
really
too.
special thing.
There's a couple things. Like, the length thing is funny because I knew it was long, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, the best part is not caring at all because, like you said,
exactly.
if nothing feels like it's dragging and like it shouldn't be there, then
No,
why
I've
would
loved
we shorten it? You
Loved
know,
every part of it. Yeah.
I think you were talking about being worried about being the one who cares the most in the room. I think my worry earlier, my ignorant worry, was like I needed to be the smartest, or I needed to be the one who came up with the idea.
Wow. Yeah.
And the thing I've found over and over through trial and error and just learning and growing and realizing how someone with your experience and your brain, even though you're releasing album 1, you're going to think about this song in a unique and special way that I'm not going to consider it. The same way that Rob from my band and Tim and everybody's going to hear, any producer you work with and collaborators. It's like, it's the coolest thing. And so really the idea of like, find people that are smarter than you, and find
Exactly.
people who look at things in a different way.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
And
Yeah.
you were really open to that immediately. Like, I was amazed when we first met
Thanks,
how
man.
cool you were into just diving into a song that,
Thanks,
you
dude.
know.
I appreciate that, man. That's really kind. Yeah, I think growing up, that was a really big thing with my pops. Like, he just kind of drilled the idea into me of, like, no matter what I was doing or what I was a part of, like, just go ahead and assume the people around me had something to teach me. You know what I mean?
That's
and then,
really
like,
good.
dude, it's been one of the few things between in some of those childhood lessons
That's
I
why
learned
it's
that,
tattooed
like,
on my chest.
and that's why, as you can see, let me get my pants back on and my shirt off really quick. That's my favorite part of doing a podcast, is you can
No one
describe the
knows. Yeah,
setting
exactly.
of, like,
Oh shit, a ghost.
yeah, no. He's being super laid back though, very kind.
My
But-
dad always told me leave well. I think that was the best advice that I got from him.
Well, my dad also said some really funny things.
Leave
that
well.
were-
Whenever you leave somewhere, you're fired. Do it well. They'll remember
Yeah.
how you left.
Be fired with dignity. Does your dad have a southern accent?
No, he doesn't, amazingly. I mean, when he's around, you know, his family,
Yeah.
he's from Mississippi and Alabama and
Where's your mom from?
Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Tennessee, and lived in Chattanooga for a while. But yeah, both Southern parents, both deeply Southern-rooted backwoods. You
Yeah.
know, both my grandfathers came from very little. Like, I am beyond privileged compared to what both of my grandfathers, who had nothing and actually had to make something of themselves. But I do think their work ethic paid off.
Yeah.
And same with my dad. It's just this idea of, like, if you find the thing that you love and that you're into doing, even if it's miserable doing it sometimes, like, I will just work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like what we're talking about. It's about finding the smart way to work, and that way can be like enjoying yourself
Yeah.
and actually having a good time.
Dude, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I could not relate to all of that more. Like same sort of thing growing up for me was like just a ton of emphasis on making sure that what you did was worth it to you and that you cared about it, and then realizing for me personally that doing this at the cost of it might not being what everyone wanted for me, like, was what I had to do.
Well,
know
what do
I
you
mean?
mean? Like, in what way? Like,
Well, just like I'm the only person in my family that's not in medicine right now. So like getting to the point where I understood the concept of like hard work and the concept of caring a lot about what I did, and realizing that working hard was essential, like, for my just like existence.
don't you think, though, in a weird way, not to be like totally
No, hit me.
hippie about it, but don't you feel like you kind of are in medicine?
Whoa.
Like, I feel that way
Elaborate,
about like
yeah.
my grandfather and dad were both like ministers, and I don't consider myself in any way. Let me make it very clear.
Why are you
Disclaimer.
wearing this? Why are you wearing the priest outfit right now?
Because it's my calling. But I felt like a calling to be a musician, and I felt like
Yeah, calling is a good word.
I guess the way that they probably would feel being pastors and having a communal experience with people and a connection with people.
Sure.
I feel that. I feel like I'm doing a version of that in a very different way
Damn.
than
Yeah.
them. But, you know, that's sort of what you're doing. It's a very different type. It's like
Sure.
the educational side, even, you know, it doesn't get the respect that someone, you know, in med school would get, but it's true. It's the same amount of hours to figure out how to get good at it, and
Yeah.
you know, and
To figure out my little podcast setup, like, for real. Yeah.
yeah, that was. You've been working on this for 4 years.
For
You finally figured
15 years in the making to be here, dude. Yeah, I that's a really awesome perspective to have on it. I guess I do feel that, and I do relate to that. I guess it was a crazy part, and I feel like I'm interested to see if you felt this way too. Like, realizing there was a moment where I wasn't sure if this was like an okay thing to make medicine. You know what I mean? I didn't know if it was an okay thing to pursue. Did you ever, growing up, feel like, even despite it being your calling, that this was like a roll of the dice to like pursue and to be this passionate about what you do?
Yeah, I think it started so hard-headed. It was like, I'm doing this.
Sure.
Like, no one's telling me what to do, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go do this thing, and that's it. You know, and then you're in the middle of Missouri playing to 7 people and having a panic attack in the conversion van, going like, this can never work.
Yeah.
I remember even like playing one of the worst sort of freakouts I ever had. Steve actually was one who talked me off the ledge.
Wow.
2 times. There was a website called Pure Volume back in the day that was like a MySpace
They're our
less
sponsor,
thing. Yeah, their sponsor, good. Well, I have a couple questions for them. We had played Conan O'Brien on Halloween night in 2007, and we were on a tour, and we played Conan, and I stayed in a hotel room with my parents who had come up to see the show, and then my dad took me to the train station the next day because I had to take like a 3 or 4 hour train ride to Boston before the band really early to go do press for this Pure Volume thing. And,
Sure.
but it was that moment where it was like, oh, I hate all of this, and I'm scared, and I don't like it, and it's too much, and it's all, I'm sure, I know you have felt this, we've talked about it.
It's a crazy type of weight.
It is, and no one understands it because in everybody else's opinion, and I don't mean family, but friends, or just maybe people who aren't in the situation with you, quite literally, you know, your dreams are coming true. What can I say? Like, how it doesn't, even on paper, it doesn't make sense to me to like, I watched Conan O'Brien from the time that I was 12 years old, you know, to the, still, but till I played his show and I'm there and it's unbelievable. And the next day I'm going, I would rather be anywhere but doing this career.
Yeah,
you know?
man. What a crazy feeling.
And I think in those moments it always came back to the medicine. I mean, not to make it too cliche, but like
No, that's cool.
why I'm doing this has to be bigger than just being in a band or being cool or trying to,
Yeah.
to look a certain way or even achieve a certain thing on a metric scale of
Yeah.
sales or it became clear that that wasn't something that it would obviously be lovely if that happened, but that wasn't why I was doing it.
Sure.
And I think the real piece that came together, the pieces that came together was in 2011. We were pretty just burnt out in general, and we were releasing our third record. It's the third record through a major label, and Steve's not on the label, doesn't run the label anymore, so we're with a
Right.
bunch of people, kind people, but they didn't sign us, and they weren't, there wasn't, they're
Yeah.
a band,
Sure,
so
sure.
clearly they're not going to have the same passion that a guy who chased us around the world for a year to sign us would have.
Sure.
And there was we woke up on our tour bus, which also still sounds like everything's going great. The dream is happening. And there was this piece of paper outside of the bunk alley, and we woke up, and it was something we had agreed to and wanted to do a few months earlier, but we forgot. It was like, oh man, this is the night that this young girl who is terminally ill with cancer, it's her prom night, and you're her favorite band, and can you... The question was, would be cool to meet her, and she's in a wheelchair, can she watch from the side of stage? And of course we're like, God, yes, of course. Day comes, we've kind of forgotten about it because it was just a day on tour. We're
Sure.
in Dallas, and we
Probably tougher to communicate to, like, but yeah. Sorry. continue.
yeah. I mean, we were like, oh wow, and then the day just took on a weight. It was like, oh man, this
Yeah.
girl's coming, and she's leaving her prom to come to this show, and it's all we thought about all day.
Yeah.
We were just kind of sick about it in an anticipatory way. She shows up to the show, side stage. She's up there. I turn the mic over and just sing the final song of the night directly to her in front of a couple thousand people. We were on tour with Cage the Elephant at the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And took pictures with her and had an awesome night hanging with her. Went on the rest of the tour. Night before the end of the tour, got a text from her dad, said that she had passed and that they wanted to fly us to her memorial and play her memorial at her grandparents' house. And that was a great dad moment too, where I just thought, I can't do that. Like, that's nuts. I'm not that person. And
Yeah.
gosh, can you imagine like our songs, which are already like emotionally and spiritually weighted,
Yeah.
towards, there's not like a, and
Yep.
everything's going to be all right vibe to a lot of those earlier
Not
songs
a
that we
ton
had.
of light on that first record.
Sorry to go. I didn't even plan on telling this story, but this was a big
No,
turning
man.
moment for me, turning point for all of us. So we flew there. At the end of the show, we finished the tour in Seattle, fly from Seattle back to Dallas, and we go to the memorial service at this big church, and then we go to the family's house, her grandparents' house, and play a small, intimate thing. And I chose like a bunch of really old hymns,
Yeah.
It Is Well With My Soul, and just stuff because it just felt like we needed some sort of positive message,
Yeah, man.
Just weeping. Everyone's just weeping the whole time. We're weeping. We're new to this situation, and there's this great gratitude from the family about it. And that experience, now, fast forward, I still am close with her family. I'm very close with her parents, Carol and Dave Basso. We played there. Foundation, 1 Million for Anna. Several years while it was still going on, while they were doing a concert series in the summer, we would go play. Every donation that we did for the last 9 years was with them. It's all tied together. They become a second set of parents for me. And what all of this to say, this young woman who was changing everyone's life, while she was going through this tragedy and the family was going through a tragedy, she was listening to our song, I Can Feel Your Pain, when she was in chemo.
Right.
And I think that moment, man, like I remember flying home, we finished it, we flew home that night, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason we're doing anything. It's like,
Yeah.
I am such a small part of this, and I'm fortunate to be able to write songs that who knows why I'm writing them, but that can connect to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of when I transitioned from I'm a young idiot trying to make cool music, that's deep and matters to me, to like I'm actually in the service industry in a sense of like I need to do my best on these albums and try my best to make the best things that I can, but ultimately this is far more about what happens after all that and how it connects to people. And
Yeah.
I just had a much larger, greater respect for the platform, the microphone, the whole thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I suddenly stopped taking things for granted like that,
Wow.
as actively as I could.
Yeah.
Sorry for that extremely
Dude,
deep
I don't like
story.
I don't think you know how much that means to me. Like I am so glad to have heard that story. That like literally sitting here, it almost fucking feels weird to be doing a podcast right now.
Yeah, I know. This is a
Like,
story we would
I-
have said anyways. Probably,
Yeah, truly. I don't want to respond to this in a way that really keeps in regard that there is a podcast happening, but I just like it feels insane to be holding a microphone, and like even when we started this episode thinking like, how do I want to present myself? How do I want to like come off? Like, how are people going to listen to this podcast? Like literally actively thinking about that in the midst of a conversation. And it's like, that's hearing that story is just like, why would I ever be worried about something so silly as to how I'm going to come off, when the reality is all of this stuff is for such a bigger thing than
Yeah.
that. That's
your purpose isn't really to like look cool, you
No,
know? And
yeah.
your purpose isn't to
yeah.
your purpose is for the people who are listening to this, who, when they feel extremely happy and elated and want music to listen to, they put you on, or they feel incredibly depressed
Yeah.
and they need a piece of sunshine in their life, and they put you on. And it's hard to it can be tricky to differentiate the artist and the perfectionist and that thing,
Sure.
because that's important, and there's your actions and work on a song does have an effect on that. But yeah, man, it was almost, there were just so many times early on, and I don't know if you've had this, where there would be someone somewhere going, oh, it's gonna blow up and it's gonna be this thing and it's gonna blah blah blah, and I never believed any of those people, and also like it didn't really matter. That was never the point. And I
Sure.
think that's the same with you. Like,
I feel the same way. Yeah.
I've never gotten the sense from you that you're chasing mass notoriety. I think you're chasing your own.
I want to feel good when I go to bed.
Amen,
I don't.
dude.
I
That's
know.
exactly right.
I don't remember who said that to me, but at some point in my life, somebody was like, "Well, when you lay down at night, it's just you and the pillow, man. Like you want to feel good in that moment." And that's like, that's been a big thing for me, is like making decisions that I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't want to feel like I did something for any reason other than to like do the right thing.
Yeah,
and, to, like,
and you're
go
gonna
that way.
fuck that up like over and over and over
Yep.
again. You know, and it's like every single
Well,
day, all the time, as we do. You know,
multiple
but I
times.
do think it's about having that. Yeah, the personal conversation with yourself and sort of that internal meter. You know, for me, it's a relationship with God that feels like it's always in conversation. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I don't really pray all that often, but maybe I'm praying all day.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, we were talking about some of my old friends from high school. We were talking about how we have friends that we really admire that like don't go poetically deep, or like don't, you know, it's just the idea of
They're
like
just some dudes.
Yeah, the idea of a double meaning or triple meaning in a lyric is just like so lost, and not even lost, but like I could explain it to them, and they go like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit."
You're like,
Like,
no, that doesn't. I literally don't care.
I was talking to a friend of mine who turkey hunts a lot, and I've known him since I was 13, and we're still close. And he's a contractor now. And I said, "Man, what do you do?" Like, so I know he goes and sits in a tree or in a bush for like 6 hours in complete silence and waits for something to happen.
Yeah.
And most of the time it doesn't. And he loves it. and I don't get that the same way he doesn't get why I
Yeah.
really care about the snare sound,
Literally
and
the
background
same
vocal.
thing.
It's the same
You're
thing.
sitting in a deer blind when you're beat detective.
Exactly. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
like-
And we care about it the same.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But I did like this thing I said to him the other day. Like, I realized that he had maybe, I'll say his name too, Buster. Is his
Oh,
name.
Buster.
This is Buster. I realized that Buster might have reached complete zen because he's sitting in,
Oh my god.
the bush waiting for the deer or the turkey. And I said, Buster, what are you thinking about from 5 a.m.? What is the voice inside your head going? And he looks at me and goes, there is no voice inside my head when I'm sitting up there. I was like, how lovely must that be?
Oh my god, man.
Wouldn't you love no voice in your head? Just
That is literally something that I've never considered being an
It's me
option.
either.
That's dude, yeah, that's the beauty with people like that. And that's why I'm sure you relate, it sounds like with this friend, but just growing up in the South, like I knew
Mhm.
a lot of people who just grew up, loving tasks like hunting and fishing and doing all that stuff, and like, all the men in my family are that way, and like I have always made it this massive thing that like there must be more going on. This, like what we were talking about yesterday, like I'm always convinced that there's something more going on, but it wasn't until last year, it's so funny you bring that up, that I had kind of a moment during the COVID stuff where there was some days where I felt really like clear-headed and I wasn't anxious because like I guess some of the worst things that you could imagine happening were literally happening.
Right.
And then I was left to just be like, well, I'm alive right now in the midst of so many terrible things going down. And it was like this clarity that was like, oh, like I'm gonna go for a walk. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm enjoying the walk. Like,
Yep.
yeah, that's a huge thing. And yeah, man, that Zen is like,
It's hard.
it's I am convinced, this is a big statement that I know I'll look back on and feel is stupid, but I'm convinced it's impossible to find if you're trying to find it. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think there's merit to that for sure. I mean, I think that trying to like implement healthy regimens in your.
you know how many times I've drinking a green smoothie and then been like infinitely more pissed off than I was before I went for the smoothie? Like,
Yeah, it's like anytime I tried to do yoga, it's like the third pose. I'm like, God
Yeah.
damn it.
yeah,
Um,
I do.
and so I guess the whole point though is
That's weird that you're doing yoga right now during this.
I know, and
podcast.
honestly, can you hold this leg? That's what we're doing though. This is our Zen. Like this is my Zen.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
most myself. I probably feel most myself when I can be goofy with my kids
Mhm.
and just a really goofy, silly, not worrying person.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be around my kids, and an equal thing to that feeling, and far more fun than having to be a parent, making sure little kids don't, chop their fingers off, is creating.
Mm.
And creating is difficult. Creating is difficult in general, but it's difficult when you're starting and when you're trying to figure out what your. Like I was saying earlier, it's almost like I think my stubbornness earlier on was like, no, I'm insecure, so I have to be the loudest,
Yeah.
and I have to be maybe brash
Sure.
about it. And now it feels so different because it all feels like a gift, really.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty, like, sought after place to be, I feel like. Because I think do you feel like you knew that when you were young and being brash? Were you like, I'm being this way because I know something is up? Or was that like something you discovered later on?
I don't think I was actively aware of it.
Mm.
I think I was probably
Yeah.
knew it was in my head. I was thinking. I probably
Sure.
thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to think that when you are that age and you think the world is fucked. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I didn't trust anybody.
Sure.
Even somebody like Steve who would sign us, it was like, Steve's trying to change me, man. Like,
Yeah.
they don't get me, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get me. But it's kind of the catch-22 of being really ambitious and really young.
Jesus. Yeah.
And I had a great call with our publisher who we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
But the guy's worked with me in some way or another since I was 19 or 20. I met him and Steve at 19, and the single came out and he called me, and it was a very sweet moment. He was like, you know, the kid we were like trying to sign back then and that we thought were interesting that you never understood, because that's another thing I would always say to them, like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
What do y'all think's going to happen? I'm not
Wow.
trying to sell
Sure.
a bunch of records. I'm just trying to, my goal was 100 people a city.
Right.
And if I could have 100 people in every city,
Mm.
then I am content.
Sure.
And that felt like enough.
I know
It's
that
still,
feeling.
I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, if everything went away, if I could do 100 people in a city, I still think I'd feel some contentment because there would be a connection.
Yeah, literally. Like, I mean, the most true form, like intimacy.
Yeah, exactly. And all the artists that I grew up watching, I'd go see, you know, Dave Bazan and Pedro the Lion play for 150
Yeah.
people at, you know, the Drunken Unicorn, and
Absolutely.
I loved that thing. But he was like, you are turning into the person that we all thought you might be. It's
Wow.
very exciting.
What was that
"Oh,
like to
that's good."
hear that now? Like, hear that with the kind of the realization that, like, what is worth it is not the achievement on paper. Like, what was that?
Right.
Yeah. How did that feel?
Total gratitude and satisfaction, really,
Mm.
like for a brief moment till I
Yeah.
started worrying about the bridge of whatever song we were working on. But
Fuck this
yeah,
snare
it was
sound.
just like, wow, that's a nice thing. It's
Yeah.
like one of those little God shots you get. It's like, man, oh, that's
Yeah.
that's nice, you know.
Yeah.
I so
100%.
badly wanted to prove that I was this person, and all it really took was hard work and time and lessons learned. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, dude.
slowly getting better.
It seems like time is a huge element of this. Because even, I wanted to talk to you about, like, even coming in, like, this has been such a badass 2 days of working on this shit. But I remember being pretty anxious, not because of, like, this environment the first time I came in, but just because of where I was at with the process of getting to do music as a career. So, like,
yeah.
I had just heard so much about what co-writing was supposed to be like, and there was pressure because we were writing for the record, and it was my first time writing under any sort of, like, time crunch or something. So, like,
Right.
it was really scary, and to come back, and you guys were so welcoming, and it literally, like, I'm gonna sound like I'm exaggerating, but it felt like it had been like a weekend since we hadn't seen each other. To
I
me,
felt the exact same way.
which was
I mean,
crazy.
within 2 hours of working with each other, and I really do
Yeah.
think it's about the second time. Like the first
Yeah.
time, we had an absolute blast with each other.
Mhm.
But both of us also got to sit with that song and then get to know
Yes.
each other
Yeah,
after the fact. And
Good
you and
point.
I have had several awesome, long, late night conversations about life and the music industry, and
sure.
you know, that's another thing I'm really grateful for. It's
Me
like
too.
having a if you call me freaking out about something,
Yeah,
I've probably had maybe not the exact same experience, but a similar-ish
yeah.
thing where
It's been crazy how much it's lined up whenever I've come to you and been like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, yeah.
and it's nice. It's really great to not just blow smoke, but to actually go like, oh yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like this is
Well,
part of it.
or like, yeah, this part does suck. Like,
Yes.
that's been the best times. I mean, I've talked about it multiple times, even in the past 2 days, but that call when I called you while we were making the record, and just like, I can't remember if we talked about this in this conversation already, but when I gave you that call in the middle of the record process and was pretty stressed because it was different than how I expected it was going to be, essentially, was the problem. And you were just like, yeah, that's like, it's okay that it feels that way. And that was so relieving. Like, even before you went on to give a lot of great advice, like, even just to hear somebody say, like, yeah, man, I remember how shitty this part felt and this part felt, and how deep I felt in this part, but ended up getting out a lot sooner than I thought I would. Like, so many
And it isn't
things.
tied to your experience not being the experience that you,
Right.
you know, expected or even wanted,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
to a degree. It is not connected with bad music
Right,
or
yeah.
a bad album.
Wow, yeah. Which,
know?
that's a big one.
And there's a lot of people who create that way. It's like they love
Yeah.
the iron sharpening iron. This just like, you know,
Mm.
I remember Elvis Costello and his band. There were, when they really got going, they hated each other. But like their best shit came from, you
Yeah.
know, they like finish a chorus and the
Mhm.
bass player take off his bass and throw it at Elvis, you know. And I think there are people who create from
Mhm.
I have a great quote, actually.
Let's hear it.
So I can't say exactly who the famous artist of it was, but I was working with T-Bone Burnett, the
Whoa.
producer.
Yeah.
We were doing a song together for like an Amazon EP thing that he had signed to do.
I used to serve him at a restaurant in Nashville.
Did you
sometimes.
really?
Yeah.
So he's an absolute monster of a man. He's like,
Yeah, big
7'11".
Very big person. He is 30 feet tall, and that's true.
He shoots a basketball down. But he's very cool. It was a total dream come true to get to work with him, after all the records that he's done. But I was asking about the Coen brothers because he had scored so many Coen brothers movies. So, of course, I'm like a total nerd. It's only a couple years ago, but I don't care. I have no shame. If I got a day and a half with T-Bone at the Village Studio in Los Angeles, I'm asking him
You're
any
going to
question
drill
I
him.
can.
Yeah.
So I go, man, what was it like working with the Coen brothers, and how was that process? And we were talking about another artist that he had worked with, and he goes, and let's call him, person A. It is a him. But he goes, I was talking about person A? That person works from destruction.
Whoa.
The Coen brothers work from construction. There was never a time during a Coen brothers process of making music for them where they were ever trying to blow up the situation. It was always a move the ball further down the field kind of thing.
Wow.
It was never,
God,
you suck, blah, 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 get it together.
And
this
that's
shit
when the
ain't
gold
right.
pours out. Yeah. Like, wow. That's
now,
crazy.
the guy he's talking about is also like absolute legend, done incredible things,
Sure.
but it was telling to me.
Yeah.
Because I think as a musician, I'd really love to have more of like a Coen brothers vibe.
Yeah, I'm
of
down
like,
to be a Coen brother.
from a
for
construction
sure.
place. Incredibly detailed.
Sure.
Everything matters.
Yeah.
No stone is left unturned. But
Mm.
let's try and create it in some sort of like creative harmony that
Well,
pushes
let's-
everybody.
Yeah, let's not like die during this process. Literally, like, yeah, man. Wow, that's crazy to hear that someone so acclaimed could have such perspective and like have that vision. That's probably part of why he's so amazing at what he does. But like,
He was awesome, man. He came in to listen to the demo or to the song we were playing that we were going to record together the next
what
day.
stuff did you guys do with him?
We did a song called Zila.
Mm.
And
Was it
like,
for Manchester? Or,
yeah, it was
okay.
Manchester. Yeah, it was
On
all, it
a
was
record, or was it like
no?
a
It was like a
one-off thing?
one-off. So
Oh, cool.
he had basically it was just like a very like 2018, 19, the current thing to happen. Amazon wanted him to produce a series, and so he like picked bands that
Right.
that he wanted to work with, and we were one. I think he did four different artists, and we were one of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
But of course, we're like right before we had started a Bad Books tour, actually. So me and Rob, I went to L.A. Me, Rob, Tim, and Andy, and we're in the room rehearsing it. And he shows up, and he is tall. He's like 6'6".
He really
He's
is
really
a
a big,
big
tall
guy, yeah.
And he comes in. He's got the cool glasses on, and he just looks so awesome. He's
Very
like
sharp.
72, but he just looks.
Dude, he like glows.
He glows.
Yeah.
He like floated in the room.
That's the word I was gonna say.
Yeah, he
Crazy.
floated in the room. And we start playing this song, and we chose this song in particular because we thought, man, this is going to be really good for a Tebow song. Like, this is chill, and there's not a lot going on, and, like, let him just kind of,
Yeah,
whatever he wants to do, we're following.
his little sprinkles.
So we start playing this song, and let's just say it starts like, da, 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 da. Very muted, everyone's playing very quietly, and T-Bone's standing next to our bass player, Andy Prince, and he just goes, and spits this fucking loogie in a trash can a foot away from Andy Prince. And we're all still playing the song.
Oh my god!
We're like,
How did he keep playing? Did anyone like in the moment?
what are we going to do, dude? It's the first time he'd ever heard us play music. It was so funny.
That's crazy. Did
And-
it come up? Like, did you guys acknowledge?
Of course we did.
Okay,
like,
good.
not with him.
Right.
But the second he left, we were like, how about the
Did
moment
you guys
we,
see that baseball-sized
we
thing come
still
out of his
do.
nose?
We still do.
That's crazy. That is a dude who could hit a trash can with a loogie for sure. Have a good
It
aim
was
with that.
so close
That's
to our bass
crazy.
player.
I'm imagining the light flinch when it hit the trash can of everybody, just like,
It was just the greatest definition of a dude who had been in that room with so
Yeah.
many people before, and he
so
was-
many
he-
people who probably were thinking, "Oh, T-Bone's gonna like this." You know what I mean?
Oh, we're
Like,
going. We
yeah.
really got to impress him with his first 5 seconds. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Did you guys leave it in the track? Did it come through on the overheads?
We had to beg him to do it. We did it one time the next day,
Yeah.
and we had to beg him to do it
Wow.
like 2 more times.
Really?
He's like, I think you got it. We're like, let's give
Wow.
it one more time.
That's crazy.
He's very like organic,
Yeah.
capture the sound in the.
Did you end up using the one? Like, what do you remember what ended up on the track? Was
Yeah,
it-
everything we did there was on the track. Wow. And then
That's so cool.
it was a pretty bizarre, great evening. But he was like, I'm gonna go home and take a nap. Y'all bring it over to my house when y'all think you got the mix ready
In LA?
in LA.
Wow.
So we went over to his house. And we listened to it on his speakers. And what was pretty baller move of him,
Yeah.
like he could have just been like, that sounds great, boys.
Yeah.
Great working with you. He was
Sure.
like, I feel like we kind of work on this kick and snare. And
No fucking way.
we rode back over.
That's some
He had
Zen
one of those
shit.
cars that was so nice that it didn't feel like you were on the road. And I was
Yeah.
like, T-Bone, can I ride with you, please?
I'll sit in the back. I won't talk, I
I'll sit in
promise.
the back, yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
yes, but don't touch anything. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, we have the song. The song came out. It's a lovely little tune. It was great though. Like just learning from someone like that too, who was so kind of anti-frills.
Yeah. Wow.
In his mind, it's like you play it, and that's the thing.
Well, yeah. But to think that he was so anti-frill, but also had that constructive thing, that constructive mindset, like that was constructive for him, was to let it just be what it was. That's, man, there's like a ton to learn from that.
Yeah, and he came. We went back to the village, the studio, and he worked for another hour on on the pump of the kick drum.
Yeah. Dude, that's him freaking climbing in the turkey blind.
That's it. That's
Yep.
him. It's exactly right. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful, man. Damn. So what do you, when you go into a studio setting now, or just like a creative setting in general, when you're getting to do anything involving Manchester Bad Books or just anything you're writing on your own, what is like your mantra? Like within everything that we talked about, what, like, is there a thought that you're keeping in mind when you enter the studio, or do you try to just be present and let it all happen, or like do you keep...
I think it depends if Robert's there. If
Okay.
Robert's there, then it's like we need to get our kind of Siamese twin brain thing going on, where we're
Yeah.
both just an active
It's
one
so awesome.
moving piece.
It's so great to see you guys communicate like the past 2 days in a way that like I'm like, oh, this reminds me so much of I don't know, when you have a cousin that you grow up with and you guys
Right.
just have a language of your own. It's like so evident you guys have spent so much time doing this together, which is
Somebody
in the
asked
best
us
way.
the other day in an interview, like, "Where'd you guys meet?" It's like, "Oh, we were like children.
We were like
16
we
and
don't
13
remember.
years old, and
God.
that's when we started." And we never really had a friendship outside of making music. And he's
Right.
my brother-in-law, and ends up marrying my sister, and he
That's
is
so wild.
my best friend on planet Earth. But like our love language is also how we work together, and like a great amount of trust in it. You
Yeah.
know. And so I think when we're in that thing, it's always like, I guess if he's around, my mantra is, how can I, if it's our song, it's like, how can I make sure that my very first draft vision is clear to everybody for what I think it should be.
Yeah,
And then once it is, I can sort of step back and
totally.
enjoy it. Like I was saying to you yesterday, like I really love this thing of like writing a song and then working in the studio for 3 days, and I haven't played a single instrument. It's like kind of the thing I love the most.
Yeah.
I would have hated that back in the day. It's
Sure.
like I would have wanted to.
Hmm.
I play the rhythm guitar. That's the thing I do.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like today, we're working on the song, and all three of us played bass
Within 2 minutes. Of,
yeah, it's like
yeah.
he plays that better. All right, let him
Sure.
play that. All
Yeah,
right,
man.
you're
Yeah,
playing that better.
That's a crazy feeling.
I guess the real mantra, if you have to, if I had to nail one down, that's probably the most important, is like get rid of the ego and get rid of any sensitive feelings.
Wow.
It doesn't
yeah.
give you an opportunity to be an asshole, because you shouldn't be an asshole, but it
No.
also, like, I'm sure you remember the first times you were writing like music with other people.
Mm.
If someone writes a part, well, you can't even tell the person that you don't like the part because they wrote the part, and that's
Right.
the part.
Yep.
I love now
Mm.
Robert going, I don't like that.
Oh
And
yeah.
I go like, okay, good.
Dude, I have
Let's figure something else
loved
out.
the way that you guys communicate that way as well. That's been really awesome to watch.
Oh, that's good to
unfold.
hear.
Yeah, straight up, man. Like, there's
Thanks.
no. It's so crazy when you go work with people, or like particularly bands or duos or something like that, and you can tell that it's like that guy doesn't just not like that snare sound. Like, he got mad at this other person in 2008 and has like never fucking let it go. You know what I mean? So to hear you guys talk, and it's just like everything is honest, and just like you guys communicate really clearly, and that's really fucking cool. Like that's a big lesson. I've learned.
Thanks, man. I mean, that's just taken years and years of figuring that thing out, and
Yeah.
again, just not needing to be the star of the show or
Sure.
the smartest person is just
Well,
helpful.
It seems like everybody benefits more when no one is trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think any studio I've ever been where someone is trying to do that,
Mm.
it loses the sense of camaraderie in it, you know?
Yeah, dude. I completely agree. It's so nice to look back. And I talked to Congleton a bit about this. It's a delicate thing to hold on to a vision and also try to be inclusive when making a record. And I typically look back and am way more stoked when I can listen to something we've recorded and remember that everyone's opinion was at least shared, even if it ended up being more so another person's idea. Like,
That's such a big part of it.
yeah, dude. You
That
feel so much better that way.
that was a key unlocking way back in the day too, of like, because you're right, like you would just turn down ideas from people
Yeah.
without ever hearing them,
Oh my gosh,
which
yeah.
is silly.
Yeah.
Because every idea should be heard,
Mm.
even if you know.
Tough pill to swallow when they're right. Though, very, very, very hard thing.
For sure, the first time, and then you'd be like, man, that guy had some good
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, there's still some moments where, like, certain people in my life will be right, especially about music stuff, and, like, just something, like, flips inside of me, and I'm like, I can't let them know that they're right.
You know what I say now? I just go, I think I said it yesterday when y'all were coming up with this chord structure
Yeah.
that you and Rob were really nerding out on.
Yeah.
And now my go-to is, I just need some time to wrap my head around it. because what I notice is,
Yeah, totally.
I can't shut something down
Yeah.
because I don't get it yet. I just, because if it's
Dude, that's-
obvious people I trust are stoked on it, then I just need more time.
Yeah,
I need to allow myself more time.
but that's true. It's not like a, yeah, I mean, I totally know that feeling. I feel that way a lot. And, like, I wish time seems to be a really weird thing when recording, of, like, if everything I recorded, there was, like, a built-in, like, I could step away from it comfortably for an hour and then come back. Like, I feel like everything would be so easy. But it's really hard when you start hitting a flow and then somebody throws an idea that, like, very well may be awesome. Like, I'm
Well, there's a time and a place to submit them as well. you
true.
know?
Yes.
It's
Yeah, you
very
have to be
delicate
considerate of other people
time.
in that situation. Yeah.
I've worked with certain artists that, bigger artists where I'm a part of, just a larger team, and there's just people know when the right time to bring ideas is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
This thing's gonna get shot down if you say it right now,
Yeah.
but if you wait till this
Yeah,
time,
if
then
you
it
catch
might actually
everybody-
work.
Catch everybody while they're
I want to be
eating.
more aware of that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice thing to.
Don't poke that angry Andy bear. He'll probably be nicer after he eats.
Yeah, I've leaned towards just not talking sometimes. I've leaned towards just being like, I will be quiet.
I think that's wise, and you're so smart and have so much natural and also now worked for and continued just emotional intelligence, but musical intelligence that
Thanks, man.
you're doing the right thing the way that you're approaching it, which I've been impressed with since I met you.
Thank you, man.
And I think if you maintain this mentality, it's just like the sky is the absolute limit for you.
Thanks, dude.
and in 10 years from now, some young gun's going to be talking to you on this same terrible couch.
In this house.
live here.
What the hell? I live here now. Why am I in sweatpants? This is crazy.
But
Wow.
seriously, man,
Thank
I'm
you,
grateful
man.
to be in your
Thanks, dude.
atmosphere. And
Thank you,
it's-
man.
It's a blast to create with you.
That means the world. Same to you. Truly, I don't think you know how much I've appreciated all of our interactions and getting to do the shit. I mean, it's been 3 days total that we've been around each other, but I absolutely consider you a close friend.
Yeah, I
and
do
the whole
too,
crew.
brother.
Like,
Really,
for real,
truly.
man. We've always had really wonderful conversations, and
Well, it's nice, too, because it just feels like we're going to keep making things together.
yeah, dude.
And
Yeah,
that's-
no, it is those unspoken things that we both enjoy that I think that's how, I don't know, people that don't have to maybe talk about what they're trying to accomplish all the time, like, are just drawn to each other because
Mhm.
it's so much easier and so much more fun to do that.
Not
Yeah.
to mention, we're sitting in here while we can hear through a slight wall our harmonies
I
together.
know.
We've never heard ourselves sing together.
I'm
like,
trying not to freak
mixed.
out.
It sounds
It's-
unbelievable.
I know it sounds really good.
People, it sounds unbelievable.
Guys,
That was a really good moment.
yeah.
When we heard it for the first time.
Oh,
our
dude,
two
that
voices.
was wild. To hear it in the headphones was really, really crazy. Yeah, kid God, man. Well, we can start wrapping up.
We did
and
it.
Go do our.
We got to
our
finish the
harmonies.
song.
Yeah. Thank you very much for doing this, man.
Yeah, man. Of
You
course, always here for you.
Thank you. Oh, can I ask you our concluding question?
Please.
If you passed on in this moment and open your eyes and you were standing in pearly gates, and whatever God looks like to you is standing in front of you, you got one question. You can take-
Just that closing question that you have for people.
yeah, my
Very chill.
laid back closer.
I don't think I'd have a question.
See, that's a great answer.
I don't think I'd have a question.
You just say
I'd say thanks.
that was the most wise shit
I think
I've ever
I'd go
heard
like,
in my life.
I think I'd look around and check where I was and go, shit, that was close.
Wow. Okay, that's my favorite one so far. Sorry to anyone else who has been on here and is listening to this, but that's my favorite answer by far.
Thank you.
All right, dude. Thank you for doing this, man.
Of course, man.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
Welcome to Bottle Rattle Rock Company.
Dude, that is what I'm fucking saying, man. Insane. So fucking cool. What a crazy answer to that question. He said, I would not have a question. What the fuck? Could you imagine saying that? That takes a freaking heart right there to answer that question that way. Incredible. Wow. So stoked to have this, like I said in the episode, selfishly just to have documented. Because those are some really, really special things that dude said. Thank you guys for listening. I don't know when this will be out, but Manchester just put out an amazing record. As amazing as their other records, but new and fresh and special. Go check that out. They don't need me to be telling people to listen to their music. That's fact. But I'm just the biggest fan of Andy and his kindness, and of Rob. And I have yet to meet the rest of the crew, but all very special people. I'm certain. Yeah, wow. This makes me want to, be a good person. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.
I'd ever wish to be something I'm not. Seems I forgot. A closed door isn't always locked. All my life, waiting for a little spark. All my time, circling around the dark. It's a pretty good place to start.